This is Real Deal Sports Talk with KP. It is March 2nd, 2019. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. We got a lot we're going to talk to. We got these mega deals in Major League Baseball going out. Who got the best deal there? Is it the players? Is it the teams? Is it a combination? We'll go through some of that. Go through the players, Machado, Harper, Arenado, these guys out there that are making these 300, 260, $330 million contracts. We'll get into that a little bit for sure. Pop Warner's changing some rules. I was lucky and fortunate enough again to have friend of the show, Marques Ogden. I was able to get some time with him earlier this week. I put it out there on social media this week. We will be talking a little bit about his new book that is coming out, The Success Cycle, so I have that conversation for you today. We'll talk a little bit of football with Marques as well, but mostly the conversation, just helping him out. He's a friend of the show. He helps the show. I help him out. It's all love. It's all real. That's what we like to do here. So we'll talk about that. I want to talk about this Tawny Harris, first female Division I football scholarship to Central Methodist University. We'll talk about that a little bit. And then we also will touch on this Jason Witten leaving the booth to go back to the Cowboys' return. But I do want to start off, with my conversation with Marques. I really appreciated his time. He's a great guy. He's got a lot of stuff going on. He's had highs and lows in his life, from highs being professional athlete, lows to being bankrupt, and now rebuilding himself on this new path, the success cycle, if you will. And this book that is going to be coming out January of 2020, which he'll talk about, it goes pre-sale this summer. You can check that out, get on the pre-sale list. But it's going to be for anyone who wants to be better, anybody who wants to achieve success, entrepreneur, needs inspiration, self-help. So this is a book for you, and I'm just glad that I get to talk to guys like Vance Johnson, like Marques Ogden, and help them share their stories so you guys can hear it. And it's just one more avenue for all of us to be a little more connected. I appreciate the time. And I have to admit, in this interview, there's a few times when I'm talking to Marques that I get a little goofy. I sound a little goofy. I thank him a few too many times. But he's a good guy. Again, appreciate him taking the time out. And this is my conversation with Marques Ogden from just the other night. All right, so here we're talking with Marques Ogden tonight. Marques has got a new book coming out, and for those of you, he's a friend of the show, former NFL player, all that kind of stuff. But his public speaking world and his world with his author and being a best-selling author and the new book he's got coming out is mainly why we're here talking to him tonight. So, Marques, welcome to the show. Thank you for being on with us once again.
How you doing, Kyle? How's everything going with you guys?
Good. Everything great going here. Glad to talk to you. Excited about this new project you got going on. Does this new project, the new book, have a title yet?
Does it have a title yet? Yes. The next book will be called The Success Cycle.
The Success Cycle. Excellent. Yep. So, in this project, now for those of you, I don't know if everybody knows this. I know this. I've read the book. Marcus's first book was Sleepless Nights, the NFL, A Business and a Family. Best-selling book. Congratulations, by the way. Who did you work with on this new book, The Success Cycle?
Great question, Kyle. So this time I'm working with a great publisher called Post Hill Press Publishing.
Uh-huh.
They are based out of the Nashville, Tennessee area. One of my good friends, her name is Mel Robbins. She wrote the international bestseller, The 5-Second Rule, and that is her publishing house. So she introduced me to the owner and CEO, Anthony, and probably, I want to say, back in like September, October range, somewhere around there, we made a decision that he was going to bring me on board as one of his authors, and we started the process from there.
That's awesome. So with this new book, who is this book geared towards? Who's your audience that you're reaching out to?
This book is for anyone who is just trying to either become a better entrepreneur, someone who is a leader and wants to become a better leader, someone who struggles with being inspired. They usually get motivated but not inspired to make that long-lasting change. people who want to find ways to create multiple streams of income. It's really based on anyone who just wants to succeed. So it could be anyone from the age of 14 and up. Doesn't matter what gender, doesn't matter what ethnicity, doesn't matter any of that stuff. Cultural background. As long as you want to achieve success and your goals, this is for you. So my first book was more geared towards football fans and things like that.
Right.
This book is more of an inspirational self-help book that can really help you write out, identify, map out your plan of action so you can achieve whatever you want to achieve in life.
That's awesome right there. Now, since you've been on the show, I've followed your public speaking and your posts that you've put out there on social media. Now you're going into your second book. So you're an author, you're a public speaker. Which one's got you a little more right now? Which side are you leaning towards?
To tell you the truth, I really love keynote speaking, because here's the thing about a book. You work on a project for a few months, and like my wife and I worked on probably about 3 to 4 months, writing the manuscript, interviewing, going over the process, etc. But once the book is done and you've gone through the editing process and it's published, you're going to have, about the first year, you're going to do like some book signings, traveling, all that kind of stuff on a book tour, hopefully. Our book, the first book was only paperback. This book, The Success Cycle, will be a hardback book. So that's kind of when you know, Kyle, that you've elevated to a higher level of professionalism, especially as an author. When your first book is just a paperback, then your second book has progressed and up to the next level where it's now going to be a hardback. So being an author is great, but my true love is keynote speaking, executive coaching, because I love to inspire change in people with my overall story and what I've done in my own personal life. So to me, altogether, I'm all about more the keynote speaking, even though I love being an author as well.
Looking back on this career path and this arch that you're on, throughout your life, did you ever think this is where you would be right now?
Absolutely not. Almost 6 years ago, I'm sorry, it'll be 6 years next month. I was literally, I'm sorry, not next month, it'll be 6 years in April that I will have been about a week away at the end of April from being homeless because I couldn't afford to pay next month's bills or rent, which was May of 2013. So I took it all the time. Well, you could have gone to your landlord and got an extension. Well, no, not really, because I just met the guy. So, and when you don't pay that first month's rent, they have the right. It was in his contract that he could throw us out right away, which I'm sure he would have done. My wife could have gone to stay with her mother, but I would have had nowhere to go. So, that was my reality, Kyle, only 6 years ago. So, I mean, you're talking about, 84 months. That was my reality. Now I'm sitting here doing keynote speaking. I have 35 one-on-one executive clients. Some want to be speakers. Some want to be real estate investors. It's all across the board. I have one online course already out. I'm releasing my second one, which should be coming up here next month. So, no, to go from a broke, a professional athlete who transitioned to a successful business owner, to a bankrupt business owner, to almost homeless, to a hardworking janitor, to where I am today. I always hoped to be here, but I never thought it was really possible because of the choices that I made early on with my construction business.
And one thing you mentioned there that a lot of people would, it might blow their mind a little bit is the idea that a former NFL player almost found himself in a situation where he couldn't pay the rent. And he had to make himself again. And he had to recreate himself again. And here you find yourself on this new arch, being successful, helping others with the success cycle, getting ready to come out. Do you have a time frame? When is this book scheduled to come out right now?
Yep, it's going to be January 28th of 2020. You'll be able to pre-order the book, though, on Amazon this summer. So you definitely want to go ahead and pre-order it when it comes out, because this time, my first publisher, they went out of business. Really nice people, but just not really what I call the full tilt professional publishing house. But this one, they have like 4 people on staff. They've got, a publicist. They've got people that handle all of your manuscript once it's completed. It's a much different ball of wax with this organization. So I can honestly say, when the book comes out for pre-order, you definitely want to get a copy and order it, because with it being coming out January and it's like an inspirational type of a book, most people end up buying books like that right around the beginning of the year.
Definitely. That's what's up. We're going to look at that pre-sale for sure. And when it comes out, we'll get you back on. We'll definitely talk about it some more. While I have you, real quick, big stories coming out in the NFL, obviously, this week, the Combine. Did you go to the Combine coming out of Howard in 2003, or what was your pre-draft experience like?
So my pre-draft experience was, I did not go to the Combine. I ended up going to the Hula Bowl and having a really good showing, and then a lot of the teams were starting to come back to me as far as like my pro day. I had several different pro days that we had pretty much every NFL team that came out to our pro day, and I ran my numbers and tested. But I had a lot of friends that went to the Combine that told me about this. And then I've also gone to the Combine since my NFL career to do some work and kind of just see different people, some of our old coaches and all that kind of stuff when I was in the NFL.
Nice. And if you could give any piece of advice to the linemen on what they should be working on, what they should be doing this time of year, the young guys, what would you say?
The linemen need to be working on their technique. They need to be working on, their lateral movement. I mean, bench press, 40, all that stuff is nice, great, and it's kind of like, all right, that's what you can do on paper. But if you want to really impress the coaches and impress the people that are going to, in the draft department of these teams, as a lineman, you have to show flexibility and mobility, and like your side-to-side shuttle, like your technique drills, your ability when you're doing one-on-one pass rush. All these things are things that you really need to do well in order to help impress these people that are in the draft department of the NFL teams to want to draft you and basically put you in a situation where you're going to be representing that team with your work and with your service.
Definitely. That is some great advice right there. We're excited for the book to come out. Thank you so much for being on the show again. The Success Cycle, you can get that pre-ordered on Amazon this summer, released January of 2020. Check out his first book, Sleepless Nights, The NFL, A Business, and a Family. Marques, thank you so much. I know you got to go pick up your daughter. We appreciate your time.
Absolutely, man. It was great. And just one more thing to people that are listening. Whatever you want to do in life, because you asked me that question, did I think I was going to be here right now? And even though it's hard to imagine where I am now from 6 years ago, yeah, I always believed in me. Did I believe that I would get here so soon? No. Did I believe that I had the skill set, the mindset, and the work ethic to get here? Yes. But one big thing about being a leader, as a person who's trying to listen to the show, trying to work on their brand, their business, whatever the case may be, leaders who don't listen have people who don't talk around them. Because if you don't listen as a leader, and people know that, they stop talking, and you have nobody that's talking around you. So I'm just going to say one piece of advice. If you want to be the best, believe in yourself no matter what. And as a leader who's trying to rebuild yourself or build yourself or excel at something in life, learn to be a better listener than you are a talker. You're going to have to talk at some point, of course, but learn how to be a listener, because great leaders who listen win the respect of their team, and when the team respects you, in that case, you put yourself in the best position to win.
That's real talk, Marcus. Thank you very much for that. I hope my listeners, take that to heart, put some thought to it, and make themselves better. I know I already feel motivated to make the show better and all kinds of stuff like that. So thank you very much.
No problem, Kyle. Look forward to being back on later on in the summer, man.
All right, we'll talk soon. All right, one key thing that I really liked that Marcus was saying in his pointer, if he could give out, just one bit of advice, was how to listen. Everybody can learn how to talk. Eventually, you're going to have to talk, like he said. And I've always said this in different interviews that I've had throughout my life, that in order to lead, you must first learn how to follow. And I don't know where I picked that up. I know I heard it somewhere before. I've learned it somewhere, but I don't know exactly where I got that, but it always stuck with me. You have to learn how to follow in order to be a good leader. And what Marcus said there, you have to learn how to listen to be a good leader. You have to know what the pulse of your team is, how to motivate them individually as a group. And you can't do that by just thinking you know everything. You have to gain that experience, that knowledge, that understanding from the people that you are working with. And it sounds like this new book, The Success Cycle, is going to be another big seller for him. So I'm really glad. And again, I'm thrilled to have guys like him on the show. Good people doing big things. He's also a coach. He's helping kids out there. He's helping people get in shape and achieve healthiness and better lifestyles. So Marcus, big respect, big ups to you. And we'll definitely have you on again this summer and as often as you'd like to be part of the program, because it's just all respect and all love when it comes to Marques Ogden and Real Deal Sports Talk with KP. Now, we've got other stories, obviously, to talk about today. Major news in baseball contracts. Finally, we've got these mega deals coming down again as spring training is kicking off. So let's kick into that a little bit. Machado, he signs first. He goes in, he gets his 10-year, $300 million deal with San Diego with an opt-out after 5 years. Just in case, want to test the market and things aren't going good in San Diego. New thing baseball contracts are starting to have. Arenado signs second with the Rockies for 8 years, $260 million, opt out after 3 years with a full no-trade clause. And then Harper signs the mega deal of all mega deals. He signs third with his 13-year, $330 million deal with the Phillies. No opt-out clause in his deal because he didn't want one. He wanted security. He wanted to know that he was going to be playing in a place for the rest of his career. That's exactly what he got. Philadelphia with some of their other signings, re-signing Nola, the idea that they might go after Mike Trout in the future. They could be building long-term here. So, gotta like what they're doing. But who got the best deal? Was it Machado? Was it Harper? Was it Arenado? Was it the Rockies, the Padres, the Phillies? Who's going to end up in the long run getting the best deal? I'm going to give my opinion on what player I think got the best deal and what team I think got the best deal. First, we'll start off with career numbers. We got to talk about these guys' numbers. Why? Because of the amount of money they're making. Here's what you have to do in order to make $260 to $330 million playing baseball. Now we'll start with Machado. He signed first. Machado's career numbers. Okay, career batting average 282. Career RBIs 513. Let's go to his averages instead of just overall career numbers. We want to see his averages. All right, 7 years, he's averaging 282. He's averaging about 90 RBIs a season, 31 home runs a year, about 184 hits, on base percentage of 335, slugging percentage 487. So good numbers. I mean, he's considered one of the better young infielders in the game. We've seen him play shortstop. We know he came in as a third baseman. More than likely he's going to be playing third base for the Padres. That's where he was for the Orioles. But decent numbers. He's not like, super average, super home run, super RBI kind of guy. He's going to get you right around 100. He's going to hit right around 300. He's going to get you about 30 home runs a year, and he's going to play some pretty good Gold Glove defense. Nolan Arenado, he's going to give you some great Gold Glove defense. His numbers are very similar. RBI, he's averaged about 114 a season. He's batting .291. He's getting roughly about 34 home runs. So very similar numbers to that of Machado. He's running on a nice streak right now, however, of 6 straight Gold Gloves. Machado had 5, I believe, so far in his career. Bryce Harper, on the other hand, the third guy that signed, has 0 Gold Gloves. He was in the running a couple of years ago for one, but it did not come to fruition. His averages, he's averaging about 32 home runs, right there with him, 91 RBIs. He's not really an RBI type guy to this point in his career. He's only hit the 100 RBI mark once, and that was last season when he got 100 RBIs in the season. His average is .279, lower. He's only batted over 300 twice in his career. Now, Bryce Harper's had a lot of hype. We know since he was a kid that he has been born, bred, and made to be a baseball player. He was going to be a catcher. He's played an outfielder. He's got a great arm. He's a great hitter. He knows the game in and out. I give him that. If it were me out of these 3 guys, I'm sorry, but Nolan Arenado is by far and away the best player of these 3 guys that got a deal. He's a year older than Machado. He's a little more consistent at the plate. He's the best third baseman in the game, in my opinion. He's got 6 straight gold gloves to go with that. So it's not out of line to think the Rockies came away with the best deal here, that they got a hometown discount, that if Arenado had played this one last season and then gone out and tested that free agent market, that one of these other clubs in a bigger market that has more money to spend because they have the cash on hand would have not only given him $300 million, but probably more than the $330 that Harper got for less years. It wouldn't have had to been a 13-year deal because they wouldn't have given a 27, 28-year-old player a 13-year deal. I like the fact that Arenado said, you know what, this was the best deal for me. I like where I am. I like my squad. I think we have the ability to go on and win. I like the place we are at as a club. And he said, you know what, I had to get a good deal, yes. But that wasn't the most important thing in my decision-making process. I loved hearing that from Arenado, not just because I live in Denver, but because money is not the most important thing. And as we talked about last week, a lot of people are starting to make these decisions for kids that money is the most important part of playing sports. Becoming a professional is the most important part of playing sports. And that is just not the case. I read you the laundry list of things you can get out of sports that is more pure and more true than the almighty dollar last week. Now, all of these guys are getting paid, and I don't fault them one bit. If my daytime job of being a school technology partner for Denver Public Schools paid what professional sports salaries do, I would not be mad about it. And I was having this conversation with a buddy of mine the other day where we were talking about how I've had this mindset of so long that athletes are just people, and that's how I've always treated them. And it doesn't matter how much money they have, or if, we're going catching up and going out and we're eating at a restaurant, or if I see him out somewhere, or if I happen to have a friend who's a former athlete or whatever. Like, congratulations, your life is good. You were able to make a bunch of money. But I'm not going to be jealous of that, and I don't expect you to pay my way, and I don't expect you to be my cash cow if something comes down on me. I expect you to just go ahead and be who you are. And if we're friends, great. But again, I'm not coming to you for what you can do for me. That's not what it's about. We're people. If you want to interact, if you want to be on the show, and that's real to you, and you got something that we can talk about, great. If not, that's fine too. I'm not going to be mad about it. There's plenty of people that I've reached out to be on this show that have either declined and or just not even responded. I'm not mad about that. They don't know who I am. They don't know if they can trust me or what I'm about. And they have so many people who come at them all the time from sideways angles trying to get them to invest in things and help them out and bring them up. Man, if I meet an athlete, it's like, hey, nice to meet you. You know, I'm a big fan. You're a great athlete. Bada boom, bada bang. That's all we got to say. I met Ozzie Smith in Vegas, me and my buddy Aaron Jackson. We were walking through a casino. Got to be 2000, let's say 2002, 2003. Walking through a casino in Vegas. And there's Ozzie Smith playing slots. And I stopped my buddy, and I'm like, man, that was Ozzie Smith. He was like, no way, let's go say hi. And I was like, nah, he's doing his thing. Let's just, it's cool. We saw him. He's like, no, it's okay if we go say hi. So we walked up, introduced ourselves, shook his hand, and let him, hey, nice to meet you. Didn't bother him too much. I mean, we might have interacted for a total of 45 seconds to a minute. And then we let him go back to playing slots. And we had the cool memory of, meeting Oz. We didn't bother him too much. He's just a person, Respect what he does. Let him know that you respect what he does, and then move on with what you do. I went on a tangent there. So these deals, best deals, obviously by money, you got to go with Harper. He's getting the $330 million. He's going to get paid till he's about 41 years old or something like that. Machado got the opt-out after 5 years, which I fully expect him to opt out there when he's about 31 years old and go chase some more money. Because I just don't see San Diego being able to keep him in town and build a strong enough team around that $300 million they gave him for him to stick around. Arenado, he's got that 3-year opt-out. Bud Black just got re-signed for 3 years. So let's see where this train's going. Okay, we've got the band back together. Everybody's going strong. We're still headed in the same direction where we were last year. I'm back. Blackman signed up. Bud signed up. Let's get it going. Our young pitchers are signed up through 2022, 2023 before we have to start looking at their contracts. So that's a great deal for the Rockies. They didn't have to go to 300. They didn't have to go to 10 years. They made him, until Harper signed, the highest paid average salary player. And he got emotional afterwards, and I loved seeing that. So overall, best deal for a team, I would have to say at this point the Rockies, because they didn't have to go 300 and they didn't have to go 10 years. In the long run, if Philadelphia has this grand plan to start putting other pieces on that team like a Mike Trout, it very well could be the Philadelphia Phillies. I don't think this signing helps San Diego get to maybe more than a little over 500. I don't think it puts them in the playoff race, and I don't think it gets them any closer to getting more pieces to come to San Diego, albeit San Diego's beautiful. I love the times that I have visited down there. Darren Rovell tweeted out, at $330 million over 13 years, Bryce Harper makes more than the annual median household income of Philadelphia every time he steps to the plate. $44,929 is what Harper will make for every plate appearance based on career averages. $41,500 is the annual median household income of Philadelphia. I think Arenado's going to make something like $55,000 per plate appearance, but again, different amount of years, different amount of career stats go into those averages. So that's crazy. Another thing that's crazy is Arenado. I don't know who tweeted these out. I don't remember anymore, but I grabbed these stats. 2009, Nolan Arenado's scouting report reads, duck-footed and lumbers, lacks athleticism, suggested he play catcher at the major league level. Are you kidding? Have you watched him play third base? Did he just turn a switch on at some point? Because he is amazing. He is athletic as all get out. He catches it from every angle, falling down into the stands, this way, that throw, off this knee, off the back end. Amazing that 10 years ago, it was like, this kid's not going to be able to play. Now he's got $260 million. 2019, signs the $260 million deal, most RBIs in Major League Baseball the last 4 seasons, third most home runs the last 4 seasons, and 6-time Gold Glove at third base. So it goes to show, hard work will pay off. If you love it, and you're going to go put in the work, and you're going to be out on the field, and you're going to be in the batting cage, and you're going to be, taking ground balls and doing your thing, you can improve your skills. It also kind of shows that, yes, if you do not want your kids in a physical contact sport, baseball is a great way to go if all your focus is money, because they got a lot of guaranteed money floating around. And I know Kyler Murray, he's getting frustrated with all the baseball conversation and the football conversation, and he said some stuff at the Combine this week about there's quarterbacks making more per year than baseball contracts. Great. You're getting frustrated, young man. I understand it. That's going to be your life, though, okay? That's going to be your life. So, yes, NFL players can make some money. That guaranteed money's not there yet. They still very much sit at the kiddies' table, as I saw this week, when it comes to contracts and guaranteed money. The 3 highest paid players in the NFL combined, you combine their guaranteed money, and it doesn't match any of the 3 players on this list. Combined. Highest guaranteed contract in NFL history, $84 million to Kirk Cousins. Nowhere near 260. More than 3 times more than that is what Arenado got. 4 times more than that is what Bryce Harper got. NFL's labor union, they're going to have to figure it out because these guys are looking at these numbers baseball players are getting, and they're starting to go, well, what about us? What about us? Best player again, I say Arenado. Best deal, Arenado. He's got the full no-trade clause. If he wants to leave, it's up to him. If they want to trade him, it's up to him. He gets to opt out after 3 years when the manager's deal is up. If he wants to, if it's not heading in a good direction, and he still has more younger years, prime years left in his playing days after 3 years than Bryce Harper, who now is locked into Philadelphia until he's not playing anymore, and or Machado, who he's going to be into his, he'll be a year older than Arenado in his deal. It comes to that opt-out time. So crazy money. I ain't mad at him. Go get what you get. You get paid whatever they're willing to pay you, go get it. That's one thing I definitely agree with Darren McKee over at The Fan about, is if they're going to pay you that much, then take that much. But, again, I think Arenado and the Rockies, as of right now with the way it sits today, both got the best deals out of those 3 mega deals. All right, Pop Warner Football is getting rid of the 3-point stance, or is considering getting rid of the 3-point stance. I saw that being reported on CNN this week. That is aiming at less concussions. As they say, the stance makes you put your head down, putting you in a position for more head injuries. Now, I've been on this show before, and I've said that I believe, I am convinced at this point, that it would be a good idea for full contact tackle football to have an age restriction. You should not start in tackle football until probably 8th grade. It is fine to develop skills up until then through flag football and other forms of football where maybe you're wearing the soft helmet and maybe it's some kind of a touch league. You can still learn how to block. You can still learn how to position yourself. As Marques joked this week, you can still learn angular capture. But it would be nice. I don't want to see the game go away. I do want to see it being coached better. And the hard part with Pop Warner is you're not always getting the best coaching. A lot of time you're getting guys that just love the sport or think they know a lot about the sport, and they're not making sure that the guys are out there with their heads up and tackling the right way and looking the right way. And, it can lead to bad stuff. So maybe this is a rule that will help change things moving forward. We'll have to see. Maybe it helps the growth of the sport because more parents then are willing to put their kids back into a football now that there's more safety rules going in for the younger guys. I don't know. I'd like to see the conversation continue to go on, not just focus around football. Tawny Harris will be on a football scholarship at NAIA Central Methodist University. This is a great story. I tell the young men all the time that I work with that there is not girl things and boy things, and anybody can do anything they want. Yes, sometimes in life there are restrictions based on your size, overall athleticism, and or strength and speed. Tawny's doing her thing. She gets to play on the NAIA level. On the other side of that, let's face it, this is not the SEC. This is not the top of Division I. Is it a breakthrough? Yes. Is there more room to see if there's possibilities there moving forward with other things like this? Sure. I don't know that it will ever happen that you're going to have Alabama with a female player. That's not me being sexist. That's just the physicality of the top level of this sport. It's hard for me to see that right now. Is it probable or plausible? Sure. Do I think that it will never happen? That would be idiotic for me to say. But the NAIA level, Tawny Harris doing her thing, defensive back. She has dreams of making it and playing with the Seahawks. So go ahead, do your thing, girl. Break the glass ceiling, and we'll see how it goes. Let's see if we can get somebody, a female in the Power 5. Let's see it, because that would blow the doors off of me, because I've always said I think women can play football. The LFL has a great brand of football. Those women are out there doing their thing. But I always thought the size difference of a 6'8", 360-pound guy going against even the largest woman in the LFL, who's about 6'2", 200, is a big difference. The way the muscle fibers and the genealogy work into it is a big difference. So, great story, but let's not get too far ahead of ourselves in what this means overall. And then the last thing we're going to get to, Jason Witten is coming out of retirement. What you needed a year off. You're another one of these guys. Like, you weren't changing teams. You decided to move in another direction. You talk about how your competitive juices went all season. Maybe you should have stayed and just thought it out through training camp before you go and got paid by ESPN to basically embarrass yourself with everybody ragging on you for your performance on Monday Night Football. Now, I personally didn't think you did that bad. You definitely stumbled, but it was your first year, high-pressure situation. Whatever. You're leaving the booth. You're returning to the Cowboys on what seems to be a 1 year, maybe $3 to $5 million deal with some incentives. So basically, you're going back to your team because they need a coach on the field. Kellen Moore is taking over as the play caller. You've got Jason Garrett involved. You've got John Kitna involved. Now you're going to be that figurehead on the field to help the young guys to just be on the field coach. That's how I see him coming back. And then there's the landfall after that. DeMarcus Ware teasing, hey, Cowboy fans, should I come back? Vaughn says I should come back. The Cowboys players, we'll get Romo and the band back together, stuff like that. And then all the fans talking about bring Romo back, bring Romo back. Okay, Cowboys Nation, bring Romo back. I thought Dak was a good quarterback. With all that clatter, all that shows is that Dak is not worth top 5 money. So when his contract comes up, don't expect him to jump to one of the highest paid quarterbacks, because you were willing to get rid of him right now for a guy who's been out for a couple years, a guy who left due to injuries and concussion issues. So Dak is not worth top 5 money then if you want him gone so you can bring Romo back and get the band back together. That's a huge diss to Dak from the Dallas Cowboy fans. Now, who replaces Jason Witten in the booth? All kinds of names have been flown out there. I have a list of people from college and different walks of life in the sporting world that I would like to see. Nate Burleson would be great. Kurt Warner, I would love. Peyton Manning, maybe. I can kind of see that. I would love to see Mark Schlereth in the Monday Night Football booth. I think he's great. Louis Riddick would be great. Bob Costas, he could be kind of that Mike Tirico, what Mike Tirico was to Monday Night Football. I'd be good with Jamil Hill and Michael Smith. Joel Klatt has been doing good on the college football side. He'd be great to have. Hannah Storm and Andrea Kramer. I would love to even see Rob Riggle in the booth. I would clear the booth right now. Booger McFarland, Joe Tessitore, Lisa Salters, she's done her thing. I could kind of see her sticking around. But the other two guys, I think they need to just start with a clean slate again, try and get a new Monday Night Football crew. If it was, I was picking 3 off the list of names that I just listed. Probably Nate Burleson, Kurt Warner, and Mark Schlereth. Those would be the guys because of the way they talk about the game, with the way they incorporate their playing knowledge into the way they cover the sport. That's who I would like to see in the booth and maybe on that sideline role. Pick a Lisa Salters or somebody like that. Hannah Storm, Andrew Kramer, they're already doing their thing with Amazon Prime, so I think it would be hard to bring them over. And congratulations to them, by the way, for being the first all-female team to do their thing. And Rob Riggle, he just brings some fun to it. He's just a sports guy. So, that is what it is. Again, We've got Marques, Ogden, the Success Cycle. You can pre-order that this summer on Amazon. Big ups to Marques for being on the show. And you know what? Until next time, that's all we got for you today. I appreciate you for listening. This is Real Deal Sports Talk with KP. Until next time, just be real.
Yo, Denver City life living every night getting it. All I see is green like it's night vision. My sight's different. My type driven. These niggas risking a life sittings over white flipping, but I ain't with it. I'm light skinned it. My mind gifted, intelligence in my disposition, aristocratic image, and not to mention I'm nice with it. The ice drip over cardigan sweaters, tight fitting, white linen. This is the type of shit that entice women. The fly shit that I'm on is passing the sky's limits. Why it's not surprising to see that all of these guys live it. I vivid, solemnly swear the rhyme exquisite with the time I'm giving. My mind flying, defying physics. I stay smooth like sipping out of champagne flutes. Always way cool, but it ain't a thing, just a flame cruise. You lame dudes, this that shit that you can't do. That's why your main boo steady watching me how I make moves.
My hot city life got me way above the clouds. Paint the audience a picture every time I draw a crowd. I hold my weight with these bars, so make no mistake. I get to cooking like Chef Curry in Golden State. I'm motivated, I'm taking off, moving vertically. Saying that they were seeing me lyrically, that's absurd to me. Virtually murdering MCs on purpose. Cutting their body parts into pieces is verbal surgery. You say you hot, but you ain't burning to the third degree. Time to bring some urgency in the state of emergency. There's no comparison to us, that's way embarrassing. Making something from nothing like ancient Native Americans. Man, listen, I'm undergoing a transition. My transmissions are filled with nothing but ambition. No remorse on these rappers like a Roman force. Snuck into the game on these suckers inside the Trojan horse.
No remorse on these rappers like a Roman force. Snuck into the game on these suckers inside the Trojan horse. No remorse on these rappers like a Roman force. Snuck into the game on these suckers inside.